2, 1.
What's up, guys? Welcome to The Fact That. We're your hosts, Victoria, Lucas, and Emma, and we are back for the second episode of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Guten Tag.
Guten
Tag, yes.
I'm going to try like new languages each time.
How do I say it in
Okay.
Swedish?
Hell.
Hell.
Hey.
Yeah, that sounded like hell, so
It
we
did.
don't want to get
there.
into that.
And to just bring some memories back, La Brit.
La
Brit.
Brit.
Oh, yes.
That's pretty much all I remember.
Oh,
Same.
no. No, that trauma is deep in me, honestly.
That's not what
Wow.
we're talking about today. We're actually doing a bit of a different style of episode today, and we just want to talk about our current life situation, how we're feeling about the pandemic and getting back to online uni for some of us, or actually never returning back to in-person uni.
Oh my God.
For the others.
Did we ever?
And
No.
just how we feel in general, because I feel like, at least, that I feel like I'm just getting reminded again. One, like the turn of the year, and you realize, oh my God, it's 2022. We've been doing this for 2 years.
Oh, blimey.
That's pretty crazy. And
That is horrendous.
Feels like 10.
Yeah, exactly. And the new variant is here.
The new variant is in the party. Like the
Omicron
new
is in the house.
The new variant was like, you guys shouldn't have too much fun because I'm here and you're gonna accept me, whether you like it or not.
But the thing that is
he joined the party.
Good about the new variant simply is that we have, it's much more infective, but then less people get hospitalized.
That's true.
So I think it's kind of the right direction.
Looking
not
at the
quite,
glass,
but like
half full.
Glass is half full. Let's see it positive, because
right, but we still don't want that homie. You know?
No,
what I'm
we
saying?
still don't want that.
Did
homie.
we invite him to the party? I didn't. But
he's like one of those uninvited guests that anyways show up.
Yeah, like
friends.
Also, but he sponsored this podcast episode too.
So we sponsored it. We love you.
We love you.
No, we hate you, honestly.
Do we? No, but I feel like it's just brought back a lot of old feelings. You know what I'm saying? Or not old feelings, but it's reminded me a lot of things. And a lot of my friends actually right now have COVID. Mm-hmm. So shout out to you guys. I hope you're feeling okay.
Yeah, get well soon, boys.
Get well
and
soon.
Girls.
Yeah, get well soon. And I'm just kind of waiting to get it myself. Not that I want it, but it's just like I don't want it, but it's around. And
I got it. Mm-hmm. I did get it last year.
Oh my God, you did?
Really?
I did. I told you guys. I also had exams in the middle of it, which wasn't fun, but Corona got me. Not sure if I recommend it.
I didn't know that.
I did.
So how was it for you? Share
no
your
taste.
experience.
I love that we're getting into this. No taste, no smell. I think that was scary because I'm a big foodie.
Of course.
I was crying by the dinner table. That was actually scary because you're losing your senses.
Yeah.
I was losing my senses, but also losing my senses. You know what I'm saying? And I was going crazy.
Yeah.
It was very hard. It was like having the flu times 9.
Okay.
Times 10. Yeah.
Do you know which variant you had?
No.
Oh.
Well, we're glad
we're healthy.
Yes, of course.
You survived.
I'm vaxxed.
And that you can taste again. I feel like for some people that took a long time.
But it's not 100%. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's 98. That
really?
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
Okay, that's interesting because I luckily have not got it yet, or that I know of.
Yeah.
I definitely had multiple moments in the last 2 years where I was like, I have COVID, and I tested myself.
The scare was there.
Yes, multiple.
The scare was there. But we're here, man. It's COVID taught us a lot about ourselves, and online schooling is definitely something we didn't think would happen for this long, but it did.
Honestly, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I thought we were going to be done summer 2020, but moving on,
Corona was
please.
no, girl, you better sit your ass down and learn.
But I remember the beginning of the pandemic, I was so hopeful. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my God, okay, let's just sit down. it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna just work out more and spend more time on myself, and we'll be back end of the summer. And I was
But
super
I was
hyped.
confused. I was like, what's happening right now? First of all, you know what I'm
still
saying?
Confused.
Yeah.
But
the
like, I
confusion
remember
lasted.
we all were like, it was so abrupt, like, and we didn't expect it. And I remember me and Emma talk like, is the world going under? What's happening right now? You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
but it did happen, and we adapted.
We did.
Did we?
though?
Question mark.
Well, not quite really, honestly.
But
like,
we tried. But we made the best out of the situation.
Of course.
But although our mental health did decline in that process, but I don't know. I think it was difficult, definitely, not to sugarcoat it at all.
No,
But,
no, I think sugarcoating is not appropriate here.
yeah. It was a lot.
No.
It was a lot. But and Emma's like pondering.
I know,
she's out.
She did. She's like,
still,
that's a Raven. Like back to the. She's going back.
I'm like having these flashbacks. The thing is, for me, I feel like because right now my uni has turned online again, and I was fortunate enough to have in-person classes from October till December, and it made such a huge difference. And I feel like in the news we always talk about, obviously, like the school kids, because it's just different. If you have 10-year-old, 8-year-old, 5-year-old, I don't want to be a parent right now in the pandemic and like working at home. But I feel like we're the neglected kind of group of people, because we're at the beginning of the pandemic, we were not really affected because it was more the elderly, but as like a generation, we were like, okay, we're gonna step back and we're gonna isolate ourselves so we don't infect other people or whatever. And we will do online uni and we will kind of accept everything. But I feel like right now it's at the point where I don't get the priorities, because some things are open and some are not, and nobody ever talks about like student mental health. They kind of just were like, okay, online uni works, and they're sufficient and they're able to do it, so it works, so it's fine, so we're not going to try to optimize it, we're not going to address it, we're not going to
but does it work?
That's what
I feel
like work.
Yeah, I feel like you have a good point. I feel like the priority was physical health for a lot of the elderly, but we started neglecting the mental aspect for us because they just thought we're young and we can deal with it.
But the thing is,
we can't.
On the topic on online university, I mean, does it work though? Because I mean, I get that there is a lot of university courses that you can easily hold online, but like, does it work for us medical students? Does it actually work? Because what are we learning? I mean, yes, we're learning the theory, but what does the theory really help us when we stand in front of a patient that needs us to examine them may it be a super basic examination, like, I don't know, like listening to the heart sounds, or may it be something more crucial, like an endoscopy or whatever. Do we really learn something in online university is the question I'm asking, because I feel like I'm learning the theory to the extent that I get a decent or good grade in the exams or in the colloquiums as we have them. But do I learn really sufficient to become a doctor?
No. And it's like, thank God we didn't do this from the first semester. Like, because first of all, that's another component of like making friends and like adapting to the environment. But also the component of like the practical part we lost so much. Like I had an METC colloquium the other day or exam, and it was basically like a doll on Zoom, and I had to explain to them, do this for like, you know, whatever it is, like, I don't know if the patient is getting like an IV or whatever, like a blood sample or whatever. I had to explain to them step by step, and I'm like, this is so natural, like this is odd. And I think everybody lost, not just medical students, but in different fields as well. I think like even the dentistry student, like there's so much practical work we lost. But once again, we had no control over the situation.
I just think it's like so frustrating, because that's like the priority thing. I think like I work at the hospital and that's possible because I am like triple vaxxed and I could test myself. But as a medical student, I think for me personally, it's at the point where my anxiety is rising and rising, because we have such a responsibility at the end of the day. and we will have to step into the clinic and perform, and we can't. And that's not our limitation, because we're doing everything we can, but you can't be a doctor by watching Grey's Anatomy.
Exactly.
It's like, it's just like that. And I feel like because we have this responsibility, but then you do step into the hospital and they still expect that you're at the same level as somebody that walked into the clinic every day and did it physically.
That's not fair.
It's not fair, because everybody knows once you walk into the hospital and they show you and you're allowed to practice, you can actually do it. Like, that's not the issue. But online, everything just kind of blurs for me.
It's
like
it morphs into something else.
Exactly. Like, you don't really focus. You're like, what's the point of me doing this? Because subconsciously, I'm not really learning it right now, so why should I be focusing? Because I anyway have to do it again. And then you're just sitting in front of your computer and you're like, what is my purpose of studying this?
I feel like the goal is distorted. Like, what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so distorted, because then it's like, I don't know how you guys felt, but I felt like I just want to get done with it. Like, I just want to do the exam and be done. But that's not like an authentic intention of like becoming a doctor and why I did it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because now it's like, okay, I want to get done with the Zoom call. I want to do the exam. But then when you're there, it's different. Because there it's like, I actually want to do this because in 3 years, I'm becoming a doctor. Like, I will have patients.
And it's also, I feel like, much more engaging. Like, we had last semester, we had 2 classes, one cardiology and one pharmacology class. Pharmacology, I mean, of course, was not really too necessary because, it's a very theoretical subject. But already sitting in that classroom in pharmacology, having the teacher up front, I mean, of course, you still have your computer open, you still have your iPad, you take your notes, whatever, but it's already so much more engaging to the point where you actually take knowledge home with you. Whilst when you're on the computer, it's so, like, everything is so distracting. You're in your own home, you go out to make yourself a tea because, in the end, who gives a crap, and then you check your phone, you do that message and whatnot. But when you're in person, you don't do these things because you're engaging into the topic. And that already gives you so much more motivation to actually study for the subject. It makes you be much more interested because you actually grasp the subject as you're talking about. You're not being bored by it because you're watching some boring lecture on Zoom. Because, it's just simply so much more engaging, motivating.
But also,
and that,
your
I feel like that is
social
missing. And
skills.
that has led me to the point where I used to absolutely love and adore my studies. I used to, want to live for my studies.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like, I do this, I study this, I take notes on this because I'm expected to, but not because I'm like enjoying it to the core no more,
Yeah.
And that I feel like is so demotivating and depressing to me that it's just, at some point I'm just like, oh, fuck this. What am I doing this for?
Why do I, like, I had that yesterday. I'm like, do I want to be a doctor? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, what's happening? But also, like, you're losing so much social skill. Because as a doctor, that's our main thing. Of course, we can go out with our friends, blah, blah. But that social component of meeting people in class, talking, and then seeing patients and seeing how we deal with patients. What's the point? I could have done this at home by myself this entire, I have for 3 years, but you know what I mean? Like, are we robots? Like, imagine us graduating, not being able to connect with a patient. That's what really matters. Of course, diagnosing them and helping them, but I think the social component is so important for us that we're missing. And then at the same time, our mental health is declining. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, as a doctor, I want to be at a clear state of mind to help another person. But now it's like, with the way things are going, I realized I have to spend that extra time on myself because no one else will. And the situation won't get better as of now. Looks like it's. So I have to spend that time for myself if I want to be the best version of myself for my patients or for myself.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that's what
I have to work on that.
But
before, it was
difficult.
like we went to uni, it was like, oh, we didn't think about, like Emma said, like, we didn't think about anything because we're busy with other things. Now it's like 100% time thinking, and it's like, it is hard.
Also, when it comes to the social component, I mean, when we were in actual university, you would go out after uni, you would go for, I don't know, a coffee, you would go out for dinner, you would go to the bar on like the weekends, not the weekends, depending on what kind of student you are. But like you would have a social life. But now with university, like our university is going to start with hybrid studies. So the departments get to decide themselves whether they conduct online or on-site studies. And with like most of the subjects being online, a lot of people just simply stay at home in their home countries, as it was last semester. Everybody just stayed in their home countries. So what social life do you have?
There's
really,
nothing.
There is nothing.
Yeah,
So
I think
it's
the point is like we're missing the ease, of life, and like it being kind of, because medical school in general, like I think that's what I'm saying. Like I'm missing the spokesperson or somebody speaking up for our generation and the students, because people think it's easy. They're like, what? You just log on and it's the same thing or kind of similar. Like you should be happy that you're allowed to study, and I am. And also, like Victoria said, you're always thinking about yourself, and you're always thinking about how can I optimize myself. And I think that's like an important aspect, but at the same time, online uni kind of
magnifies it.
It magnifies it, and you put so much pressure on yourself for everything you do. If you're not listening correctly in the Zoom lecture because you physically can't anymore, like I'm just tired, but after that you beat yourself up about it because you're like, I wanted to go to med school, I wanted to perform, I wanted to do well, and I physically for some reason can't. But instead of like kind of hearing from the outside or addressing the situation, I feel like everybody is just so alone in the situation because nobody talks about it, and everybody just expects that we continue with med school and it's all fine and we pass our exams and it's all going to get better. But just to talk about it, just being like, hey, it's hard, I feel alone, I feel tired and exhausted, and I'm doing the most. But instead, like your mental health keeps, or like your mental keeps telling you, you should be doing more. Why didn't you listen here?
It's you never win, kind of. And it's like an underlying thing that no one talks about. Yeah, I agree. And also it's like it is pressure, because it's like you're trying your best on one front, and then on the other front it's never completely satisfied, right? The mental state, it's never there, and then you're trying your hardest. So you're stuck in that dilemma of like, okay, I'm really doing my best, but then I'm also dealing with, sorry, but a lot of shit like internally. And then at the same time, it's like you can't really complain about it because, first of all, a disclaimer, me, Emma, Lucas, we all understand, and our hearts go out to all the nurses and everyone involved, and we know it's hard for many other professions and 100%, for everyone. Like for us, it's not like a life or death thing, but our issues are valid. And I think everyone's is, and we shouldn't compare, the degree of like, oh my God, they're having, their issue is greater, whatever, because for them, that's a valid issue. For us, this is valid.
Of course.
So I think it's important to raise those things.
But I think in a way it's also kind of a vicious cycle because, I mean, of course, the nurses, they always proclaim, stay home, stay safe. And that is the right thing to do. That's what they need to portray, of course. But then also in a way, we need to go out and learn something because we are supposed to be the doctors of the future. And if we don't know, to put it in very simple terms, jack shit, they will have also the problem with us because they will have to explain to us, they will have to show that they have to have the patience with us to learn the things when we are actual doctors in the hospital, when there's maybe no time for it. So in the end, it's a vicious cycle. And that's why I believe that when it comes to education, I mean, of course, I understand that in the times of a COVID wave that we need to have online education, but we need to differentiate between which subjects need the online education because they don't necessarily need the practical skills, and which one actually help us for the future, because in the end we're the ones that's supposed to carry on the health system at some point. But how can we if we have no idea what we're doing in the hospital?
I feel like we're just missing compassion. I feel like students, because I've talked to also students that are not medical students, but that sit in front of their computer for 12 hours a day with and like Lucas said, if you go into a class, which I for me, the difference was like going from online uni to in person to now going back to online uni, where I'm really noticing the difference, because I feel like if you know it's online, you kind of stay in that rut. You're like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna do it. And now I've seen the other side again, and it made such a difference. Like, I just went to the lecture and I remembered stuff just naturally because somebody said something, or I was listening, and you don't listen the whole time in that time either. And then you grab a coffee, and when you're just sitting at home and there's nothing outside you can do, I feel like you're like, okay, I have to do uni now because there's nothing else I can do. So, and if you take an hour for yourself, you already feel guilty because you're like, I could have studied in that time. I could have used that time efficiently. I could have been more efficient, and I'm lazy. And that's like the mental game, because you have nothing that counteracts that ever. And for me, I think also from uni, and also like in Riga, where the exams were just made so difficult, I was just missing the compassion component of even just somebody from the university telling us it's hard, we understand, how can we help you, how can we, you know what I mean, just to
it was acting as if everything was fine, kind of. I think that whole component of like no one knows what's going on, but also having this front up of like we're fine was so confusing for most of us, I think, because we aren't fine, and we actually fine, we don't know what's going on, but can someone just speak up and be like, we're not
just
fine?
Acknowledge it. Yeah, exactly.
Acknowledge that, but also like, because that alleviates a lot, because being in that mindset of trying to like convince yourself that you're fine is a lot of energy. It's like, am I fine, or what's like, I'm confused, and then you start thinking about it yourself. But I do think this year was a lot of like introspection for sure, and and actually realizing, you know, too much of it can have a little bit of an impact as well, and not having that balance from your physical life has a negative impact. Like I'm one of the major spokespeople for, like, you guys know, like meditation and taking care of yourself and journaling, but then I also am a spokesperson for having a balanced life and not neglecting the other part. And it's like now everything is neglected in the physical component, unless you know, actively go out and try to hang out with your friends and stuff. That's difficult. It's not easy. Like, it really isn't easy, because we are social beings. And like even this podcast is helping us three. I know we feel better talking, but I know a lot of people don't have friends. Like, I know a lot of people that are like alone, and it's hard. It's hard because they're by themselves. They don't have the social, you know, support. And now it's a pandemic, which makes it harder for them to make friends. So it's like, it is a cycle, but I think we're trying our best, and it's fine if you aren't, and it's fine if you just want to lay in your bed and not do anything. That's fine, because it's such an abnormal state that we're faced with in our society right now that we weren't expecting, at least in this generation. I know like the plague and so many things, you know, in the past have happened, but this is still a shock, because with the level of technology and stuff, everyone was like, because before we were like, oh, we can travel. Like, we took everything for granted. Like, we can travel. We can do this. That's and then everything we took for granted was removed. Like, traveling, restricted. Meeting friends, restricted. Going to the supermarket that we thought was fine, basically not as easy anymore. So it's like, which is good in an aspect of like, you know, I'm thankful for what I had, but also in another aspect, learn how to cope. And learning how to cope requires digging deep. And some people don't want to dig deep because it takes energy, it takes time. People have traumas they've been through. So it's not just digging deep and realizing, oh my, okay, so this is a pandemic. Like, how am I going to, no, it's like, you're faced with yourself. You're looking in the mirror. I think of that like one Harry Potter part where like Harry's looking into the water, or like in the mirror. Don't you know? And then he sees his past.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but like that's what I think of. It's like,
sees his past. You mean the mirror where he sees what he deeply desires?
Is that the mirror? Doesn't he see his parents?
Yeah, exactly. That's the mirror.
Yeah. Like, we're not Harry, but like I wish I had that.
Oh my god, yes.
Wand,
so we can help, you know, some of our mental issues. But you get what I'm saying. We're digging deep. but it's I don't know. But how have you guys coped with it? Maybe looking at it in a more positive light. How are you coping?
Whew.
If you're in like if you have a really bad day, for instance.
Honestly, that's a big question.
But I feel like we found like our ways to cope. No,
yes. I want to say, because I'm someone that suffers of seasonal depression, and the thing that helps me most when I'm depressed or in a bad mood is simply, this might sound ridiculous to some people, but like I lower the blinds, I make the room like as dark as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I just lay in front of my bed on the floor. I have like a little soft carpet. I just lay on that carpet in like the embryo position, and I just exist there. I just try to structure my thoughts.
I don't know.
I love that.
Figure out where I want to go, what's the best plan to cope with it, and then in the end really distract myself from it. Like keep myself busy so I don't like fall into this overthinking depression phase, and just I don't know, usually I need like an afternoon, an evening, sometimes the whole day, depending on how bad it is, where I just lay there and just exist.
But do you like observe your thoughts, or what do you do if the thoughts come up?
Well, I do observe my thoughts, yes, but usually when my thoughts come up, I do something that distracts my mind significantly. Like I'm not talking like watch a movie or something, because that usually does not help me.
Temporary,
but, I mean more like, for example, reading a book or going out for a coffee with friends, because that just shifts your mind away from the thoughts that you have and the negativity that you have within these thoughts, and just puts you maybe on the brighter level, because when you are out with your friends, you laugh because they make a joke or something, and of course you're not always in like the best moods, and of course I also don't always feel like I can go out with friends, I can socialize, but I just find something else then to just like shift my mind to something rather positive.
Yeah, 100%. I think
and
that was hard, but it's
a huge thing that helps me here is Adele.
Aww.
Like that sister,
I watched her
music
video. Yeah.
I mean, her music at some point is also, depressy-ish, sad-ish, but like just listening to Adele, like, because I don't know, I have this projection that maybe what helps me is like seeing someone else is also not always just fine, That's what I think is the thing that might help me with her music, and also because I absolutely love her music and her as a person. So like
I feel that.
So
I feel that. All love.
Yes, mon chéri.
But like I get that 100%. I like that. Like having a person who's like, you know what, nothing's fine. Let's like, I'm not fine. And that's great, because you're like, I like that with Adele. I actually agree with like, because she did like that recording, we talked about it before, with like she was having, an anxiety attack. She was talking with her son, and it's like, that's life, man. You know what I'm saying? Life isn't about covering things up and like a facade. And now in the pandemic, it's like, let's break that facade. I feel like right now, that's what we're doing. At least we're talking about the real stuff, and how we're actually feeling. Because I think us three, we do have like very bubbly personalities, and sometimes it's hard to know, like, oh my god, these people actually are going through some shit. You know what I'm saying? I think that's very hard. But that's not the case.
No.
That ain't the case. How do you deal with it, Emma? Like,
let's get into it.
She's like, I have a list. Like,
I actually do. No, I feel like the thing is...
rolls out like a roll of wallpaper. Like, let's get started, guys.
I'm like, I have a manuscript.
No, like one of those, and then you drop it, and it's like,
oh my god,
it just keeps rolling down
from the
like that's how long it is. No, I feel like for me, mental health is like super important, and I think that's exactly what Victoria is saying. I think we're all people, and I know I portray that because that's also part of my personality, is just go out there and have fun. And I think some people then are shocked that I can also be super deep, which is also like part of my personality,
and have problems
and have issues, because the thing is for me, and that's what the pandemic kind of took away, is that I'm such an extrovert. I think I always knew I was, but then when the pandemic hit, I really realized that I feed my energy off of other people. I need to charge by myself, but I do love going out and just connecting with people. That gives me energy and that gives me purpose and kind of motivation. So that being gone, it's left me like very isolated with my thoughts, and I did go through a lot, especially in 2020, which was immensely difficult. I'm just gonna say that. And it was definitely a scope that I mean, everybody had a really hard time. It just put like a lot of pressure on me as a person, and but it also made me reflect, and I can like proudly say that I feel like I've grown a lot through that. But for me, I think right now what I try to cope with is I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I do have anxiety, and I think people that have anxiety will know that sometimes you just feel anxious for no reason. So I need to stick to schedules. Like routine for me is crucial. So I wake up and I do like a very rigid morning routine. Like I don't have my phone on because I feel like we always have to be available, and there's so much outside noise that in the morning I try to just keep it quiet. And I
for how
meditate
long?
for like 2 hours.
Okay.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I get up and I write down what would make today great, and like what I would like to achieve, and I go through like what I have to do in the day and kind of prioritize all for myself. No email, no phone, no WhatsApp message telling me what I have to do. I'm thinking, what do I need to do today so I feel good at the end of the day? And then I meditate, and that helps, especially with anxiety, because sometimes it doesn't eliminate it, but you are like, okay, today I feel more anxious than usual. I'm going to be kinder to myself.
Yeah, you're fine with it.
Exactly. And then like, okay, maybe I won't achieve everything I want because I'm definitely a goal getter and I try to do a million things at once. You guys know. And sometimes, and I'm a yes person and I love doing everything I do, but sometimes I need to pace myself. So I'm trying to be kinder with myself, and I've started working out again, and
that's
because for me, I tend, when it comes to uni, I make it take up all my time because I put in so much performance, like perfectionism pressure. But it got to the point where I put in so much time, but I wouldn't get the same results because I was so exhausted. So now I've like, am pressuring myself in a different way, and I'm being like, if you say you work out tomorrow from 5 to 6, you're going. There's no excuse. You're going. That's important.
So you're putting that same pressure on like the physical component of your life.
Exactly. And I'm trying to like plan my studies around everything else instead of planning everything else around my studies.
Preach.
And yeah, that's like kind of, it's super difficult for me because my mental like always just like sit down and do something. But I think it's scary at some point where you realize I can't be as productive as I used to be. Why is that? And we're medical students. Like, we know you need good sleep. We know you need to work out. You need to talk to people. Like,
do we do it?
Yourself. Do we do it?
Exactly.
But also, like, this productivity thing, I feel like it's kind of toxic. Like, we need to do another episode for that, because it's like, because now we're thinking we have to be productive, but we're neglecting our current situation that's very not, like I said, normal. And it's like we can't have the same expectations we had prior to the pandemic because our lives were completely different. But
and because everything is blurred, like you don't have a weekend, you don't have a, you know, where you can be like, okay, now I'm gonna chill. Every day feels the same. Every day
it's like a fog,
the same thing, and it just feels super strange, and you have like no structure from the external. So I feel like I need to
set that
structure myself, but also that's what I need to work on, is like really taking time off, and not in that time off being like, okay, now I have time off so I can do this and this and this and this. No.
Actually taking
time off, and maybe just laying in your bed for 2 hours. Like, that's fine. Everybody deserves to do that.
That's true.
But how about you, Victoria, our guru?
I don't know.
In life?
Our guru.
I don't know,
Get
man.
ready, guys.
I feel let's get ready, guys. Get your cups of teas, because like I don't know. For me, it's like a lot of trial and error. I don't know if I found like. In the beginning, I didn't have this like proper habit, I would say. It was all over the place, because for me, it's like when I feel mentally good, I don't do anything, which is bad. I'm like, oh my God, life's fun. Like, let's have fun.
Yeah.
Let's do some. And then I don't realize like it is internal, and I can't sweep it under the rug. And because I do that, and then I afterwards get the effects. You know, it's like, I don't know, it's like drinking alcohol. You're having fun. There's no effects at that time, but then you have the hangover. You know what I'm saying?
It catches up to you.
It catches up to you, and it's like, I can't run away from my mind because it's going to be with me for the rest of my life. It's either going to be my enemy or my best friend. And sometimes I feel like it's both. And when it's my best friend, I neglect everything else. But I have to realize it can also be bad. And so what I normally do is recently for me, meditation helps a lot. I've dealt with anxiety for most of my life, and that is my thing. When I talk about like problems, it's always related to my anxiety and dealing with that growing up. And we need to talk about like how we were as children as well, because it really affects the way we look at.
I don't think that's a good episode for me.
But like, I think
let's
talk about
but
Lucas listening to Hoover noises.
But it's fun because it's like we know a lot about ourselves. And the way we are is based on that. But for me, it's like, I was quite sensitive growing up as a child, and a lot of people won't, like, they're surprised, like, oh my God, oh my God, you seem like super confident, like whatever. But it's like, I actually have a very sensitive side, so I am an empath, right? And what happens is, as an empath, you do absorb a lot of people's energies, but at the same time, I'm an extrovert. So I'm dealing with, a lot of different types of energy. So what I have to do is I disconnect from people sometimes. If I talk for too long, if a person is talking about their issues, which I respect, I have to afterwards sit with my emotions and be like, kind of disconnect. So what I do in the mornings is I meditate, and I see, like, there's a guided meditation I can share with you guys, but it's like a halo around me, and it's a grounding meditation I did recently, where I get energy from like the earth, and it's like you visualize this golden aura, and then you disconnect, and then you kind of nurture that part of yourself, and it's not so much everyone around you. It's like, you know what, I'm disconnecting. But I also do like 10-minute meditations every day. I've done it since the beginning of January, and I want to do it for 1 year, every day.
But like, when do you do it?
I do it in the morning when I wake up, before anything else, before breakfast. I have to do it. Because if I don't do it, it breaks that cycle, and my mind's like, let's eat breakfast. It's fine. Let's not do it.
Yeah, because I've been trying to get into that as well. My friend, she shared like a guided meditation thing with me, and it's like 10-15 minutes every day. And she was like, yeah, I do it in the morning. Like, I do some yoga, and then I do the meditation. I'm like, okay, I want to do the meditation thing as well. But the thing is, I am so much of the alarm goes off, I get up and do my things personally, that usually now, for example, now you're talking about meditation, and it's like 10:45 here now, exactly 10:45, and I'm just sitting here like, darn it, I've been meaning to do this for like the past 4 days, never managed, because I
have to set that habit,
run and do my things.
You have to stop yourself. It's hard because we have habits, and we're not used to breaking those habits. You have to force yourself, and even if that's like waking up earlier, I would really suggest you to do that, because I know you will feel better. And
but even, I think, like, if you're not a morning, if like your morning is more productive and you're like, I just get up and do my thing, and like, then I also sometimes, if my mind is like super full in the evening, like when I've also started being like, okay, I'm turning off like uni and whatever in this amount of time, and I'm turning off my screen, which is difficult for me in the evening, like at this time, and then you can do a meditation and kind of let off what you did in the day, and kind of ease into the sleep, or whenever it suits you. Like for me, it's also in the morning, because I get overwhelmed with, like, I feel like it makes me tackle the day easier, because then like everything kind of hits me, but I've been with myself in the morning, and I know what I want for the day, or
for sure.
So that's like kind of my approach. But I think what's important is also, obviously, like, this is a super deep talk, and just to remember that all feelings are temporary, and like nothing is an emergency. I think especially with online uni, often with deadlines or exams, you feel like your life is an emergency, and everything is starting to crumble down, and to acknowledge that and accept that and understand that it's not. And
it's not.
If you fail an exam, it's fine. It's not the end of
Exactly.
the world. You're not a bad doctor.
Yeah.
You're battling a global pandemic, isolation, loneliness,
It's a lot going
tired.
on.
Allow yourself to make mistakes.
Allow yourselves to feel those feelings. But that's what I was saying with the meditation. I do a meditation where I sit with my emotions. If there's a constant anxiety I have, for those listening, if you're worried about something, if you're constantly worried about this exam, like Lucas said, like turn the blinds off. What do you say? Like you close the blinds?
Yeah, I close the blinds, turn the lights off, everything off,
exactly.
like phone,
sit
every
in a
electronic
dark room.
off.
That's what I did recently, and I felt so much better.
Yeah.
I sit and I bring the emotion. Let's say I'm worried for an exam, I will fail it. Why do you think you'll fail it? And then you're like, oh my God, I haven't studied for it. You have to like converse with your mind.
Yeah.
And then it answers you, and it's like, I feel fear of this. And at the end, it wants to protect you. The mechanism is protection. That's why you're worried, because you're afraid of failure. And then you tell it, and you kind of, with compassion, are like, you know what? I'm fine. I'm protected. I love you. Thank you for caring for. Look at it in a compassionate way. Don't try to reject your mind, and be like, you know what? I know you're trying to protect me. I know you want the best for me, but I'm fine. I've been through this.
Yeah.
I love you. I know you're there for me. And then you just, and you'll feel so much better. I promise you, because you don't go around walking and like, oh my God, I hate this thought. I don't want to think about it. Oh my God. Don't reject it. Let it be there. Same goes for people that you don't want to see.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And you're like, you know what? I forgive them. And it's not easy. But what my goal is for people to minimize that friction inside and let things come and go like a stream of water, and like show things with compassion and try to forgive people. Have boundaries.
Like most of the
forgive.
The anxiety is higher than like the fear is greater than
what it is.
What actually happens. So like just also acknowledging the snowball effect, you know, if like you have like the little snowball and then it keeps getting bigger and bigger. Like you have one inconvenience happen and you're like, my whole life sucks. Or I'm going to be the worst doctor on the planet because I can't study 50 subjects at the same time, taking a test every day and then having to online answer questions in online Zoom and then take an exam, and you're like, I'm the worst. No. And I think
stopping that snowball is important, though.
Exactly.
I think stopping that thought immediately when it comes and being aware of it and dealing with it,
and
instead of letting it grow.
What's the worst that can happen? And any situation that's thrown at you. I think one time I talked to Victoria, and I will never forget that. She was like, you have no evidence that this is going to happen. Like, I think I was super stressed about an exam, and like, I've never failed an exam. And like, luckily it could happen though. And I did fail a seminar. I did fail my first pharma seminar.
Oh my God.
And that like kind of sent me very like spiraling. But at the same time, Victoria was like, your mind is feeding you lies, because you are actually, you've always done well and you prepare well, and whatever happens. You can't control that in that moment. But what you can control right now is to focus on, hey, I have done the work. I think for me, I've tried to focus on what I have achieved in the day, not on what I haven't, because most of it you've actually done more than you think. But also, if you have a day where you just want to lay and relax, do that, because the next day you sit in front of like a problem that was super difficult maybe for you in that moment and sent you into like anxiety, and you take a break, like you go away from it and you come back, it's suddenly
you have a different view on it.
Be kind to yourself. Like, please, for anyone listening, like, it's not easy. Just be kind to yourself, because you're gonna be with yourself until you die, basically. And that sounds kind of scary, but it's like, you have to make this internal space. It's like a house. Like, you're designing it, you're decorating it, and try to make it a nice place to live.
Take care of your house.
Water those plants.
Take care of it. Clean it regularly off like things you don't need, people you don't need, people don't do you well, things that don't you. Just clean your house. Take care of it the way you take care of your, I don't know, your phone, the way you take care of, like, you mop the floor. So that, take it easy. And if something breaks in the house because you dropped the vase, or like the plate gets a crack.
Amen. That's
Okay.
fine.
I mean,
That's
yeah,
fine.
shit happens, but it's okay.
I
can
see
get
you,
a new
Maya
mug.
Angelou. I see you, poet.
You know, like, of course it's an inconvenience at that moment, but try to not focus on it being an inconvenience, on something negative that happens. But like, instead of like thinking, oh my God, I just dropped that vase, it's like broken now, I will never, like, you know, have a new vase. But just, I don't know, go online and look for a new vase. Like, work on that solution rather
And
than
accept
drowning
it.
yourself in that negative thought.
Yes.
And just carry on, because life happened. Negative things, not to say shit here, I just said it, but like, it's gonna keep happening. So have ways to solve problems, have resolutions, make a scheme for yourself.
Oh my!
Because things happen out of our control. Things happen out of our
Oprah in the
control.
house.
Oprah
Yeah,
in
but
the house.
exactly, things are gonna happen either way. So might as well accept it, find a solution, carry the living crap on. You know what I mean?
And I think like
life is so short.
Especially, I think like our purpose of this talk was also to just be vulnerable and kind of show that, we do struggle with this. And I don't think about these things every day, but I do sometimes think about how difficult it is. And I can just recommend, if you have the friend or the family member that you can be vulnerable with, to just talk about it, because it is fine to show weakness. Like, I think
that's
showing
strength
is actually strength. Yeah, exactly. It's like, if you're able to say, I'm struggling right now, I can't handle this, and I just want to talk about it. Sometimes you don't always have to optimize your life. You don't always have to find solutions. Sometimes you just need somebody to listen and talk about it. Like right now, I just feel better talking about it, because it's like a shared human experience, and then you don't feel so alone.
It's a therapy session.
It is a free therapy session.
It is.
It truly is. But I think we're all going through something. But at the same, like Lucas said, life will throw a lot of things at you. You can't be like, oh, it's all fairy tale. It will throw things at you. But it all depends on how you want to deal with that thing. And whether you want to deal with it, that's fine. If you don't, and if you want, you can actually be kinder to yourself in that process of dealing with it. Don't try to put yourself down for things you can't control.
Exactly.
But
oh damn, that could be an Adele song.
Wait, I actually have something that I have this prayer from my grandma and my mom that I think is very fitting right now, so I'm just gonna read it.
Yes.
And
should we just do that before as like an outro?
Sure. So for everybody that's not religious, I'm still gonna read it because it resonates, and I feel like everybody, no matter which faith you have, should have an outlet and some source of power outside of you that you can be guided through, and be that
100%
energy, or through meditation, or through going to church. Those are all great things that can help you. So I'm just gonna read this, and I'm gonna see what you're gonna say, but I actually have this in my wallet because I do read this sometimes. So, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
That was the aha moment.
That was the aha moment. And
I love this talk.
Thank you guys for listening, and thank you for opening up. Thank all of us for opening up.
All of us.
And
we hope it helps you guys out there to like acknowledge yourself, to like get in terms with yourself, maybe find a solution on how to deal with something. And also have the courage to open up to your friends about certain things that might be on your heart, that might be on your mind. So don't be afraid of it. It's completely natural. We all have it.
Talk about it, man. Like in a party or whatever with your friends. Talk about things that you think are taboo. Talk about your mental health. Be honest with yourself.
Not to be okay.
It's okay.
Exactly. Oh my God, Emma.
That's a Jessie J quote.
Yes.
But like I heard that in a song. That's amazing. But also like vulnerability is strength. Open up. It's fine. And if they judge you for it, you're not with the right group of people.
Exactly.
That's right. Preach.
Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you so much.
Should we do a little promo?
Little promo.
Yes.
Don't forget the promo.
Thank you guys for listening. Hit us up on Instagram, The Fact That Official. Hit us up on Twitter, The Fact that sub score. And now, for the first time, hit us up on YouTube, the fact that podcast,
Yes.
and listen to us there.
Check
Have
us
a
out on the
fantastic
tube.
day, guys. Be positive. Stay on top of your game. Open up and be fine, because life is fine. Life is good. Life is short. Make the best out of it.
Oh my god.
See you next time.
See you next time. Make sure to subscribe. That's
Bye.
we can say that now.
Love you.
We
Yeah,
can say
bye.
that now. Bye.